Hello Blender folks, welcome and welcome back. This is Gnomes and this is another more building stream, Aisha rigging, but no more mouth rigging. Now we are going to the body, small retakes here and there, and possibly some stuff in the eyes, integrated eyes, that might be broken, but I don't want to spend all the time on this stream on the eye. So hold on, let's get this back. Shift Alt Z, and this one I change the shortcut. Control Alt Z. All right, over gizmos, show gizmos, show overlay, so we can. I hope these shortcuts are not. Control Z, Control Shift Z. Yeah, this. Control Z, it's not the same. It's similar, but this can cause some problem. Anyways, so here, let's reset the pose in case you don't know what this is. That I'm using the Shift Alt. I'm using the line art. So it's just a grease pencil here that we use a line art modifier, right? Where it would be. Line art, generate line art, but it goes automatic if you just add a grease pencil, maybe scene line art or collection line art, so we can have some targeting of collections there, which yeah, so maybe this is a mistake that I hadn't time to make this organized, the layers here, but technically I want to have there's more specifics. This is a bit like freestyle, right? Line art stuff that exists in Blender, but this one I think it's more adequate, but we need to be looking this on camera view, otherwise it doesn't show properly, but at least it's not lagging, right? But okay, then the idea is that we can just make this object disable, so we don't have lagging issues here, delaying issues, right? So I have two, so I was trying to mimic some this old style graphism of Disney, colored line art for different parts of the body, very subtle stuff, right? The hair would have a different one. Each object actually will have some sort of, depending on the materials. And anyways, so I have no soundtrack here, folks. I have problem with the headphone or not headphone, this earphone, something like that. I was using their garbage technology, and I'm tired with that. So if I don't use headphones, then the soundtrack will cycle, the sound will cycle with the microphone, and then it will cause sound dependency cycle. No, it will cause some reverberation, which is horrible. So we don't want that. I don't want that in this stream. So let's go back here and let's start to re-rig some stuff that. Okay, so apparently there's one object there that is, I see this will be cloth rigging, but it's annoying to. So there's this pingent thing that I don't know. Maybe, yeah, I changed the mesh, right? So that's why it is. Oh yeah, they changed the target. Face ghost, right? On a certain distance. Yeah, it seems to be a bit incorrect, but okay, its shrink wrapping seems to be failing on surface, outside surface, all right. It could be floating. This is sci-fi, so why not, right? Yeah, but then there's some strange shadow that maybe is not super good. Yeah, so let's just leave it like here. Alright, so now this is fixed, alright? So let's go back to the. So I apologize for arriving too late today. I had a lot of stuff to do during the day. And I arrived very late, so I had to do a lot of stuff just before. Couldn't go direct streaming, right, folks? So let's go here. So for that reason, I'm not going to delay too much here. So this will be, let's see what we have here. Maybe, yeah, we'll check this for a 50 minutes. Just first round, then we see if we continue. What probably I'll do a little more, but okay, there's good timing here, just that we get some control of what we're doing. So here, folks, hold on. So I have my list here. It is a lot of stuff that I need to be doing offline, so I'm not gonna. So yeah, so improve body wave paint, arms, hands, face. Yeah, so right now I think I'm facing some issues with the. Oh, I have to unsolo all. Alright, so let's do something smarter here. So I want the master control and the. Right, so these and the control skeleton. And then what is that I need to do? I want to start posing the body because we're gonna address some wave painting, and because of this on the body, most likely I'll have to hide some stuff that might be on the way. So I'm gonna hide this, the hair, the mouth stuff, even the eyes, and that should be it for now. And then even the cloth, maybe that will be required to do that. Let's use some other material here. That might help us doing our work. So I need the deform rig. So I'm gonna go here. There's be also some. Yeah, so this is the texture thing. This is something to rotate later. It's annoying, but I could just try to ignore it for now. So material, so maybe even that can, yeah, it will be less distractive. If we check the normals everything seems to be correct. So some strange deforms on the upper arm, like I think some squashing on the mesh that is not super adequate. Look like she's very contracted muscles or flesh that is. Yeah, so it's not working. Something about the deforms, and it should be time to address it. So I don't know what is causing that. Probably it could be some of the helper bones, but we're gonna check. So we're gonna need some specifics. Yeah, I'm gonna make some special selection here for this region. We probably. Yeah, so I'm gonna hide this part. So I just want this. Select. What is the sim doing? Alright, so I know what's going on. So you need to seams creases, because I have made change to this topology here. Let's. Oh, it seems to have some incorrect looping. Alright, let's continue from here and let's see what's happening. Oh, I see what's happening. Of course, this is an old thing. Now the counter suggests this is the right thing to do. So this goes down. Oh, I see. So in principle, no, I don't see. This is Okay, this is, I want to make this symmetric if possible. Then get this, and we, oh yes, this is the, I was confused, this is another sim. Yeah, this is not the right sim. There are, this is a special sim just because of the low poly here. Actually, I can change the position of it because I have a just slightly more geometry here. So why not? Why not centralize it? Yeah, I can centralize. Maybe it's not a great idea, but maybe the corner it's better. Yeah, let's maintain like that. And so here it loops around there. Do I have a central one? No, I don't have this loop, so I could still create here just for this, but this could create some artifacts, so it's not super good idea. So this is the edge crease that is fake. Clear seam. Edge crease, no, edge seam. Just seam, right? And then connect there. So that means that now I have the arm here. Alright, so what's happening here? That something is going broken in this. Let's redo this. Oh yes, it's face. Okay, I was doing the edge, so it goes crazy, right? It does a different calculation, or it was doing a different calculation apparently. So got this. We're just gonna hide this. I've lost this. Let's fix this and hide this. Okay, here we got just this part, and it's time to check these waves. Could be just the geometry, right? Yeah, it's actually the geometry itself. Not exactly a wave paint issue. So I've made some, probably what I happened is that I've just made some subdivisions here, and I had to make changes to the mesh, and then it just didn't fit very well in the end, so I had no time to readdress this. So just a geometry thing. The armature, we don't need to be looking at this armature all the time, so what I'm going to do, yeah, I'll just simplify the bones that I want to be looking at. So just these ones, we don't want to see the relations, also not this one. Let's go back here and okay, this is better. Then we're gonna continue addressing this. What is this face here? You see that is very distorted. GG. So this is the GG. This is the armpit region. Can sort of drag it. Oh, GG. Yeah, let's leave this a bit more regular, something like that. All right. And this face, strangely, apparently is having a wrong material, so just a mistake here. Assign. There we go. And here also this part, so I need to be careful because the upper and lower arm, the upper faces, or whatever, these faces here, they don't have the extra subdivision because this is some sort of super low poly. I'm calling like that. I mean, it's not hyper low poly, it's not super low poly. No, it's not hyper low poly like there's. I mean, this is exactly. I need to reshape the names, the naming. I'm the self-convention I was making. So this is just a little more than super low poly. So that means super low poly is get like you just have. Yeah. So There's like the hyper low poly is like this nearly cubish thing, right? Roblox or stuff like that. Trigons everywhere. Super stylized shapes. Then I have super low poly, which is that we just want the minimum geometry to just start to have organic shapes for the character design, right? So it can be very, very low poly. We can rely on some subdivision surface modifier probably. Yes, but the idea is that it is really, we just want the extra geometry, mesh density, just enough to have good shapes, better shapes, the geometry. However, there will be a next step which relates to, it's a interesting thing about theoretical aspect of the mesh topology and mesh geometry, which is that if we just don't have enough geometry, mesh density, that we start to suffer a lot of limitations regarding the mesh topologies we can explore, because there's just not enough geometry to make topology good topology for certain practice. For example, for rigging, we organic rigging would like to have certain face loops, right? And so with the super low poly, we just don't have, we might have enough geometry for shapes, but we don't have enough geometry for the mesh topology itself. So that's what I went one step beyond super low poly, against my will, but in the sense of that I wanted just enough to have geometry, but I was wrong, because the way I want to rig, I love to have the good face loops. I've learned with that, with this stuff, and more than that, they really help rigging. Wave paint deforms, they really, so geometry, mesh topology plays an important role, although it's hard to visualize sometimes how exactly it plays, what we can do about it, what we cannot. So you see how big they are. So this was an arm. So that, yeah, so this is happening because I was still using the, yeah, I was relying too much on the subdivision surface modifier to have the shapes. And now that I've added a few more, right, we can shape this. But I was okay with the shapes, even though they are a bit, they'll be a bit strange. Not here, this is not the true shape. The true shape would be, I mean, this is the true shape, but the final shape would be the one from the subdivision, right? Surface modifier. We can, yeah. So you see, not too far from it, but still, yeah. So here I forgot this stuff. So let's continue fixing this. So it turns out that the shapes were just a mistake from the, I did not play with the readjustments right after making these new edge loops. I've recorded the process when I did those face loops, probably about a month ago, maybe, yeah, some time ago, but it was on stream. Basically, I've added this. Maybe I had this one. I had 5 face loops essentially. So here I have around so I have 5. I started with 4, then for the joints it started to become complicated. Shapes and joints, yeah, that started to become really puzzling. So then I went to added a new more. So I ended up with 5, but then I thought that this asymmetry of this it was also causing problems, especially not so much for the arm and shoulder but or hand, but for this part here, the hip region, and that on the side. So that started to become really complicated. We don't have a seam here. Good opportunity to make a seam. Control E, mark seam. Let's get the screencast here. So folks, if you're watching there, feel free to get your own soundtrack, because here until I get a real headphone, I think I'm not gonna use these crappy earphones. I hate this thing. I think it's not even safe to use, like, in terms of sanitation. Alright, what I did, I lost my... Okay, I was doing the geometry here. Yes, so get here. Let's Shift H that. Let's continue here. Of course, this is just causing some... The bones also, too many bones. Maybe I hide the armature for now. Yes. So here we can reinforce a little this... this we can probably push this a little inside, right? They correspond to the center. Can probably, well, here we probably would like to have more regular geometry, but I think it's okay to just make some change here. This, I don't know why it is on the top, so this is probably just some old setup, right? So before the subdivision, so let's make these readjustments here. Yeah, so the forearm, yeah, maybe we want this a little more protruded here, spiking here. Here we can have some more dynamics. Here, this we can push this like there. Here more to the also GY. Same thing here. Well, I'm not seeing the hand, so maybe this can be a little problematic. Let's push this more to the scale this GG. Why not bring this more to this part? All right. So apparently, yeah, maybe I need to scale this up a little, or Alt S, maybe this is better. We'll use all the normals, so it might be safer to do that. Not safer, might be more interesting. So here I'm not sure what I want to value. Yeah, I think this is wrong, so let's try to make the center here a little less expanded. And try just to agglutinate this towards the center. Yeah, alright, and then this will be the triceps, should be, I think. And here I'm not gonna make bones for muscles, but we can. This actually can be interesting for the future, like automation for muscles. That can work beautifully. That will be the fun part of rigging, but first we have to handle the artifacts. I have a strategy for the shoulders, but right now it's not the moment to address this. The shoulders, they can be considered complex joints. There is a lot of anatomic asymmetry, right, to the shoulder joint, and so so it's very complicated. I personally, I don't find it as complicated as the pelvis to have good results, but maybe some people think that the shoulder is much more complicated, or they are equivalent. I don't think so. I think the shoulder is much easier to achieve good results. I feel like the shoulder is quite more symmetric than the hip thigh joint. Like, okay, like, because the back and front of the shoulder, they are not equivalent, but they are very close. They yeah, so here we'll have, because okay, the thing is that, okay, here in the front we'll have the muscles from the chest, and we'll have the clavicle, collarbone, and on the back we have the trapezium, especially probably muscles some attached to the deltoid too, but we'll have the trapezium, and also some muscles stretching from the dorsal area and the scapula bone. And so all those will interact differently, of course, but in terms of skinning for a stylized character, they mostly it's the same thing. Like, it's like the shoulder will pull or push that mesh. So it's not like, if you want accurate anatomic results, yes, it is more complicated. It's like those things are sort of, they can be rigged in sort of a way that they don't compromise totally what is going on in the shoulder. And this is, so it's like it's more analytical. So we can, you rig the scapula and you don't care too much about the shoulders. Like, yeah, you care, but it doesn't, they tend to not create much problems to the other. It's in my opinion, so that's why we can analyze better, and it turns out I find it much easier. And essentially I think it's because of the apparent better symmetry which exists. As for the hip thigh, is way more complicated, because okay, even though we then okay, the only asymmetry here, so the shoulder, it's more like a simple joint, like or intermediate joint. In some sense it's like a knee or a elbow that is just different from the top and the bottom. Of course, I'm simplifying, but yeah, I've explained why. While the hip thigh, well, you have the gluteus on the back, and then you have the pubis on the front, and the crotch that is in the that is here, and then it's all asymmetric to all directions, much more radically than the shoulder. Because if on the shoulder back, yeah, so for example, okay, but the leg sounds as symmetric, right? Yeah, the leg is, but not this, right? On one direction I have the crotch, and the other direction I have the outer side of the hip, right? And then if you consider back and front, then it is also very complicated. It's the buttocks and the gluteus and the pubis, right? And whatever we want to consider all along. So this is what makes, okay, but still can be considered the shoulder a complex joint. I'm okay. I think that's accurate, and it's still it's complicated to rig anyways, even if we can, because a lot of deforms start to happen, bad skinning deform artifacts, right? Because of the rotations of the arm, wild rotations. If we want good rigging for characters that have full human athletic acrobatic motions at least, right? Or kids, whatever realistic motion, that is not someone that is very stiff. No, normal human body capacities, right? Just a little, with a little exercising of the maximum, of more extreme range. So while we try to rig those, pose those, then it's maddening, right? Alright, so here I think we got good shapes already. Let's address these. Maybe this. I'm still not satisfied with this. It looks like that the position here, this is too wide. Well, but there's the subdivision. There's this. Yeah, let's pull this here. But that, yeah, this is complicated. Alright, so I see a problem here. Alright, so it's like I don't have much control of this mesh here. Maybe I just need to drag this back, and all because I decided to make this slightly experimental. I already did that and I saw that it worked out for the, like creating a cavity for the armpit, which is, this is kind of risky, but I think it can work. So here, let's also shift end this a little more, rotate here, maybe here let's just scale this down a little, shrink it down a little, bring it more close to the forearm. Alright, then here maybe thinner this here. Let's see from the top view. I see here we could benefit from having some, let's pull this back a little. Here let's try to push this more here. Here we can probably get some better shapes in doing this. Get some alignments here, why not? Let's contract this, pull this a little backward. This doesn't need to be as much protruding out to the outside. And this also, maybe we don't need to, let's try to bring it more like here. Alright, now let's get some objects back so we can okay, so I don't know what's happening there to the, oh, I know what's happening, of course. It's because, so I have this shrink wrap. Is that value accurate? Yes. So basically what happened is that I think when I've remade the ghost muzzle, I just forgot something for the universal sonic melt rig and also body mesh. So maybe this, let's see if that is true, if that is correct. So yeah, indeed. So you see, I probably didn't I didn't shrink the ghost muzzle. So it's just a face that is occupying exactly the same spot. So what I need to do is just get it to shrink. I suspect that I've made a mistake in the area of the, yeah, but I'll see. This I'll have to investigate. But as for now, Alt S negative 0.02, and there we go. So now the ghost muzzle, so this is prescribed by the universal sonic melt rig, it's behind, it's shrinked to maybe I could do it a little more, why not? So Alt S negative 0.04, let's see what that creates. Well, it fixed some artifacts on the chin region apparently, but I'm not sure if this is gonna be good. Some things there are happening because of other interactions with shrink wrap bound constraints. So this new value, so to have it to work now, I don't need to be looking at the but I need to be looking at the body once again. Let's go back here for texture. So first things first, I want to address the wave paint of the let's see, Control Shift X. I want the not separate shrink wrap muzzle. Yes, so you see it doesn't include the alright, so maybe I want to reduce some parts there on the here, right? So I'm gonna try to blur this, maybe this one actually, so I can reduce, yeah, I'm gonna unpaint that, so I'm gonna just change the layering here, like step down, step back one of the shrink wrapping factors. This is the jawline, so I'm not sure this is be a great idea, but okay, we already started, so we're gonna, and I have some issues there, this is shrink wrapping artifacts, so I have to address what that is. Let's hide the hair here. Yeah, some weird stuff going on, and here what is doing is that the blurring is interpolating between the, of course, between these the black and the yellowish, and so it's creating this except here, so maybe here we'll have to, yeah, so let's make some selection here, Control X, maybe with this I want a Shift X, Control X, gonna copy this value, then re-blur this stuff, 3, and yeah, we can maintain that, and the rest, yeah, can maintain that. So I'm not sure what's happening there, but we're gonna find out. So this, okay, already, oh, some mistake here, forget, should have fixed that before. So I'm gonna pick this Control X, no, wrong selection, reduce this. Okay, I cannot reduce this selection. Control X. Control X. Alright, this, then 3. Blur, let's blur here and let's get... Okay, that seems to be fine. Let's blur here and let's continue. Now I need to change the shrink wrapping values. Yes, all of them. So no, only the ones regarding the... Yeah, so I did this value here. So I just change here upper face, so 0.04. Yeah, this one. So here shrink wrap eyes, this... What is this? Forehead. Oh, yes, yes, of course. This is forehead. This is forehead. Yeah, this upper face, right? No. Hold on. What is this? Why there are two of these? These are duplicates, or there are some... Oh, no, of course, this is eyes. Yeah, this is like upper face to eyes surface. Yeah, so this is too long, but okay, so this is like... so maybe I bring this here. Maybe it should have the same value of this, because this is the eyelids, so that might be equivalent to the eyelids. Yeah, so this can go outside. That's correct. Eyelids, yeah, to... Actually, I could have the eyelids onto the same... No, it will be a different case scenario. Maybe this outside is not correct. No, better have it. Alright, upper face, so this is to face ghost. Alright, this is the eyes ghost, this is the eyes ghost. As I put this, they are sort of similar, but one is for the... No, they use both. Okay, so yeah, so technically I could have the same... I could combine these two vertex groups. Let's just see what they are doing. So it's a modifier shrink wrap forehead. This one is shrink wrapping to the outside, right? It's just so it, yeah, it's just so it doesn't enter inside the eye. It's an extra protection. So special technique, a bit complicated, but is because the face ghost, it needs to also have the eyes, but the eyes, they need to be static, and so it's like I had made this more important, so it's like more basal. The eyes are more basal, the eyes ghost, so they, and the face ghost, like it overlaps, it goes on top of it, but the, yeah. All right, so we'll use this at least so that they will interact a little like the eyelids. So eyelids to eyes surface. So this is 0.009. So this is a very arbitrary value, but we'll keep this. And it needs to be outside because this we don't want to go inside on top, right? It's just preventing it to go inside the eyes. Alright, so it can't be the same shrink wrap modifier. Alright, then here is the shrink wrap to upper face to face ghost, which is okay, this new value. Then shrink wrap eyelids border. Oh, this one is a special one, so maybe we bring this to even before the eyelids is some interior thing. So this is a special one, so just leave it there. The value here is 0.5. Just we have a backup of what we are making here. So what is this one? No, it's already fixed, right? Shrink wrap muzzle, we want to absolutely change this now. We need to upgrade. Alright, now I think those artifacts, snapping artifacts, have gone. Not entirely, we have still got some problem there. Strange. Yeah, this is quite strange. So outside, I have to see, maybe there is something, maybe something about the ghost muzzle that is broken. Oh yes, of course. Maybe it's just lacking some smoothness, right? It's exactly in the where there's no more faces, right? Looks like. Yeah, it's exactly in the, so because it's an area. Yeah, it's an important area. So my mistake, will have to do something here. So let's save and okay, let's just take into account. Yeah, so I know what I need to do. So I'm gonna go back here, get back to the body. We have, even though whatever, with all that I did, that it's still frustrating to have to do this over and over again. So, but let's hope that I'm sure I'm gonna have to make this a few more times because I just make too much retakes. But at some point I should reach a condition where, well, this is good enough, right? So faces, we can't maintain this strategy here, so I need to include these faces here, assign. We need also to, we'll assign the here too, because it's okay to include the, it's just that the nose doesn't, it's just a question of not wave painting it. So here we can also mark seam here. We don't need this. Actually, this for the jawline is good, but this one we don't need, so clear seam. I said I could have a seam for the around the ears as well. Mark seam, yes, this is fine. Then another one for this. Is this really necessary? Could help some organization, right? The mask of the eyes, whatever. Yeah, maybe some muzzle contour here. Yeah, like this one. Why not, right? Yeah, so let's get back here. So this is the face, right? So is that exactly what we want? Yes. Yeah, and we can keep the one for the Mark C. Why not? So just seems everywhere. So they have one for the base of the neck. I'll say that later. Anyways, so I'm gonna select that. Everything seems to be included, so it's a clean face. Shift D, ESC P, selection, separate by selection. Control tab into 4, object mode. We going to pick that object, control select face ghost, control J, yes, control the ghost is deactive. So we're merging the duplicated into that. First things first, let's go inside here. Delete, remove unused slots. No, must be on object mode. So remove unused slots, delete this remaining. Control Alt H, we display as wire. Oh, it was already. The object is the same. I don't have to care about that. That property the object already had, so it's not a problem. So Alt S negative 0.04. You can check here at the top left corner, enter. Then there is a problem, of course, with Shift H with the apps. Yeah, we need to complete the mouth here. So we can just do this F. Well, it's not working. Okay, I don't know what's happening. It's the automator there. Oh, now it works. I have no idea what went wrong. But, okay, we got this. I don't need now this seam, although it won't make any difference. The only difference here is that creases seams. Let's get I remember this technique here. And Shift E 0.3, there we go. Shift H, then we're gonna just GG this. We're gonna try to reorganize this geometry. GY, GX, maybe even rotate a little, so it's just really not, it doesn't need to match, it's just some smoothing stuff, right? GG, there we go. Doesn't look good for some reason. Okay, this is crazy. Something is not... Something broke here that it's... or maybe it's... No, the here seems to be working, but the... Oh, this is the shrink wrapping thing. Oh no, actually, this is just the... No, there's definitely something going wrong here. It's like it's protruding out of... Expanding... Oh, it's shape keys, of course. Yeah, more data that gets crazy, right? Deleting all that. We don't need any of those. And puff cheeks, probably have to re-export it. Oh, I lost the bases. Yes, don't do that. Don't delete the bases. Right, finally. Okay, so you see this is good, and now that those artifacts should have disappeared. No, still having some, at least on that part. Yeah, I see that there's some stuff happens, but essentially the rest seems to be fine. Okay, I'm gonna save here, and we are going to... So this part here is the... Is this corner area is complicated. Okay, let's go back here. Don't need to see the creases. We are going to start addressing some stuff of more interest now. Okay, we've gone halfway, right? 50 minutes. Let's go more 50 minutes today. So unfortunately nothing for the rigging totally as I wanted for the rest of the body, but we're fixing shapes, right, which will relate to rigging. And now the problem is that my deformed system here got affected. You see, it's not bad, right, the amount of, but it, yeah, we see there it's not good deformed now. Also the wrist, it's acceptable, but it's not good, right? If I can do something about this rotation, wild rotation, right? I think I have a system there for deforms, but I'll need to readdress it. So essentially, yeah, let's check here what we've got. So this is a... It's not a... Okay, the wrist bone is not a bendy bone, but if it were, it would make some change to, which is might be beneficial, but it's lazy and it's bizarre, so I'm not gonna care about that. So it's all about the bendy bone itself. So in principle, okay, start as automatic, and its work ends at absolute. Relative doesn't work, and tangent is not the case. So it's just automatic won't help. So it's okay. So nothing to see here. What we need to do is just to improve this excessive rotation. So it could be a question of addressing the, oh yeah, so I have some values there. So the out is radically changed. It was very diminished for some reason. Maybe it's not working anymore, so I'll have to test this. So let's, if I improve the, if I reduce the out even more, it starts to break the rig, right? So it would be, and if I add more of it, it's just horrible, right? So I was probably correct in diminishing, so I have done here essentially all that could be favorable, but there is these other settings that maybe can help. So it will be for the forearm bone, it will be the z-axis, I think. So really, I don't know, so I'm gonna check. So curve out z, now is the x, then so all right, so we can have curve out. No, but this is wrong because I'm not driving this, right? That's right, I'm not driving this value, so this is why this is like, it will work in one direction, but it will fail in the other direction, right, folks? So this is like, doesn't make sense, right? I have to drive this if I really wanted this to be working. So because I have the bendy bone, I think I should drive this thing. So yeah, definitely. So what I'm going to do is that, yeah, that's very peculiar. So unfortunately, no bone constraints can affect this that I know. So it needs to be a driver. We can be doing this forever for if we have a lot of bendy bones here and there, but in this case it's just the forearm, and especially this and remembering this is an intermediate joint, so it's really hard. It has some asymmetry, right? So should do some animation, right? So let's get here the, I'm gonna record as a new action. So wrist rig. So just auto key here, insert keyframe for, okay, but here, then gonna go forward, okay, why it doesn't allow me to, oh yeah, because the timeline, all right, and there seems to be some lagging in here. Why this is lagging makes no sense to me. Anyways, let's rotate here and do this, yeah, just like this, or actually just rotate on the z-axis. All right, then keyframe that, then go here, reset, that will be faster, and gz the other direction. Then why not reset, and since we are here, so we're gonna do this and then reset and go forward and do this. And so okay, driving this this will be pretty annoying, but it should not be too hard actually. So what I need to do is that so I just need this and this showing, right? Nothing less, nothing more. So here we're going to this value here I'm going to ignore. I also, let's select them both and hide here. Alright, so I'm gonna, so you see the tail of the bendy bone is matching with the head of the, well, the wrist bone we don't see, but it should be here, so this is why absolute. It would look like just as you have a parenting connected relation, right? So here, to start with the driver thing, I'm just gonna reset here, and I don't remember when I used this for, but this negative 0.9 value on this one should be useful somewhere. I must have seen that useful in some place, and here I'm not seeing why this very mysterious. It looks like the wrist bone has a different, thinks different about the hip. I think it is twisted, tilted inconveniently. And this rotation here of this bending of the bendy bone shouldn't help my, because the arm is forearm is straight, so there's no reason that I need this bending here. Oh, maybe, so maybe I've made this, that's why I made this, maybe it was just because of that, right? Yeah, maybe it's because of this. So this is not good, right? So just I could use another bone here instead of the wrist, so it doesn't need to be the, because if I want the deformed bone, wrist bone, where it is. Okay, I need to unhide, right? So yeah, that there it is. It is twisted, and this is not a great idea. So I'm gonna use another bone. Let's see which is its parent. Control wrist. So I know what bone that is, fortunately. There will be even a mechanism wrist, but yeah, no, we can use the control wrist. It truly controls the wrist, right? So it's I can use indeed this one as the parented to the master I key, hand left, so I can just get this, because it is aligned differently from the deform rig, I can use it as a better target. So I'm gonna get this here and change to still be absolute. You see there's some offset there, so this is not good. Anyways, this I can probably solve later. This is some thumb. It's a fan bone for the thumb, I think. Yeah, so unsolo all, show all. Yeah, so I made a mistake here. So anyways, doesn't matter. Let's go back. So control deform arm, deform arms. There we go. So I just need this to work with, this and this. Now we can play the animation and we can see what we can, how we can drive this maddening bone there. So here essentially, okay, I'll try this to work only with the out, of course. The problem is that the out, curiously, how does it interact with the other rotation? I think it's adaptive. Yeah, so you see it tends to adapt to where the end handle is, but it's not necessarily a good thing, right? The way it wants to make the so you see with a lot of value here it can sort of, but it doesn't seem very nice, right? So that's yeah, it's reset, right? But we got terrible deforms right now because of the stretch tool, right? So, and the handle thing. So here what I can do is I want to test the, yeah, here too it's very bad. I want to assess these curves here. Z out, no, this is not the correct one. So it's the X out, right? So, but there is some strange bending, right? It doesn't seem very accurate. So if I have this value, so it's not this one, right? And this is the curve in, so it will be a shame if I have to change both of them, right? But okay, let's try something then. Ease out. So reducing the ease out by a lot, nearly as I had before, and yeah, and they seems to do similar stuff. I think I sort of understand now. Maybe x-axis handle offset from start. No, z-axis handle offset for start of the B-bones curve, adjust curvature. For the end of the B-bones curve, adjust curvature. Okay. What is the length of second BZ handle for? It seems to be doing equivalent, so let's make a test here. If I get this negative 0.8, let's pick a screenshot here. Reset, and let's paste okay, negative 0.8, reset, I think that was it, and I'm gonna compare these two. They seem to be identical. Alright, so this is a cool thing to this is a cool idea here to share. I've just learned that. I never knew. I thought they were different, but they actually, seems to be just a decomposition of the axis, because this will affect in all directions, while this, it will just a little more analyzed. So I curve out, it is just curve out, but for certain, yeah, So let's make a highlight here, folks. Folks, so here's something I never understood about the bendy bones. Now I got something that seems correct. So you see, I have made these quick animations here for the rotations of the wrist. Of course, here I destroyed the rig. The rig, I had a setup that was a bit better, but now I was trying to drive some values, and I'm comparing the curve in, curve out, this XZ stuff with the ease in, out, because I always thought they were very different stuff, but actually turns out that they do the same thing. Apparently, maybe I'm wrong, but I have evidence that they are, if they are not exactly the same thing, if they don't do they are very incredibly similar. So what's happening here is that I believe these are decompositions. So okay, curve in, is for the beginning, just as the start handle stuff, right? Or the ease in, the in stuff. And curve out is for the outer part of the bone. So the bone is directed, right? There's a forearm bone, so its head is here, its tail is here. So this one, it will have, hold on, it will have the, let's say, so I've made some tests to prove, so I'll just use the out stuff here. So you see that if I go on anything here, have this horrid curvature that everywhere, right? By using the out, I will affect ease out. Let's say that let's pick some, I'll guarantee that for all the rotations and all orientations, the effect will be the same. Well, it will be equivalent. So if I have here this negative, this for my rig, it was about negative 0.9. It will correct mostly those things. And you see that it is sort of corrects, not perfectly in this case, but it corrects it on most rotations. So in all directions, all rotations do the same kind of correction. And but the interesting thing now is that, okay, let's reset this. And now we go back to these horrible bendings for something more realistic, right? Then let's say that I've used the curve out now. I've reset. I'm testing this on pose mode because it's more dynamic, right? On edit mode, it's different, but it's the same. Or either you add or either you subtract. So values, right? Numbers. So here, let's go back. So, sorry, folks. Here we got into the curve out. So let's say that I want to affect, for example, this here from the top. So the axis here, I think, will be the curve Z or curve. Yeah, this is a bit confused. So maybe I know it's the curve out X already. So you see that the value is approximate negative 0.9. So I just could copy paste that, right? Maybe it works. So let's see. Yeah, it works. So we can, but if I have this value here, you see it's affect all the bone, right? All the bendy bone. No, it's yeah, it's curve out, right? Reset here. Now you see that, but you see that for this part it will do the opposite, and for these other parts, actually it's not, it's just maintain that curvature, so it doesn't adapt. And as of course it won't adapt to these ones because it's an X thing, it's not a Z thing. If I need to change here for the Z, I'll have to probably do this, but this one wouldn't interfere too much from this. It will interfere in the Z, yeah, this orientation, right? So you see they are not adaptive as these ones, the ease in and ease out. So I thought that would work for both sides, the curve out, but actually it's either unidirectional, right? So it's while, because if I have this value here, it works for one side, but it fails for the other side, which is the, so it worked for the positive side, it negates subtract value, but then it adds value there and it becomes even worse than as it were, as you can compare here. And however, if I have the value here is out, it will adapt. So the advantage of using this is that it's automatically adaptive, but it doesn't have, yeah, maybe driving this will be easier to control because we have more specific stuff. It's like it's more analyzed here basically, and to more evidence. So evidence is that I took a screenshot with the ease out of a certain value for a certain pose and compared with imagetically, right? So it would be, no, not this, this and this. So you see, essentially it's the same thing. Of course, I'm not showing how I picked the screenshots, but trust me, this is the real thing. I've just compared for this first bending, which was for this test, wasn't just enough for me to realize that it would, because here it will fix. If I tested it just in another one, I'll realize that the inconsistency of my first thought about this. So that's how this thing works, folks. So this thing seems more workful, to more drivers to add, but it seems more controllable. But if we want some adaptive thing, this is like more straightforward, go directly to the point. So this is why for this rig I don't want to super complicate myself. I'll just use an ease out of negative 0.9, and now all the bendings are mostly correct. But maybe if I don't want to touch the ease in, but maybe ease in won't really seem to help too much here, and I don't know if it needs to be positive or by the way, folks, just let's tip that these adjustments I'll do here. So I'll add in this case negative 0.9 value to this default 1 values here, and this is what we have on edit mode, the root binding rest pose, right, the root stuff. And now this will auto apply. So even though it doesn't appear here, this is the rest pose for this. Don't touch this on pose mode unless we need to test or animate those things. But yeah, we can add keyframe to that, right? But or drive. But here you see now I don't have. Yeah, there are some things I need to correct, but I think here for the bendy bone I had enough. So and because those things are the same, right? Are equivalent in many ways. So I originally thought that I fix some stuff here and then I go and create more stuff here. No, it's useless. Well, maybe there's some method that you could, but it's like redundant because these are just the same stuff, except that these are decompositions. So there's no chance here to use this. There are other things here that I'm not very familiar with, so maybe could help for what I'm... Yeah, no, never mind. So so this is the little that I know for this, and that sounds to be useful, right, folks? So hope that was interesting. Alright, folks, so how to solve then this bendy excessive bend? It's not horrible, but yeah, it's not super good. If I probably I want to fix that. So For that, probably I'll have to readdress my helper system here, and indeed we seem to have a fan wrist. Yes, there's a fan wrist, but what it doesn't seem to be doing its job properly. So looks like that it needs more derotation, right? Maybe not even not only derotation. Can I displace it? Yeah, so okay. Let's see what it is doing. I need to revise. So control, okay, it's parent to the control wrist, not a deform wrist. So this is a special setup that I've made. Local with parent, okay, all right. So before regional, okay, so it's just a copy rotation thing. It's inverting, and all right. And the influence, yeah, so you can play with the influence here. More influence, yeah, so more derotation would be nice. And probably we can play also with the yeah, we can play with the I see that it is staying mostly in place. Let's reset the pose. Okay, it starts with the same orientation as the deformed wrist, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. This is bone is something else. So just need these ones. All right. Okay, this is very bad. Not that this pose. There's a lot of volume loss here. Let's make the magic trick here. So if that, yeah, let's make the crazy trick here. Because the wrist will not, these bones will not rotate 180 degrees positive nor, yeah, so this is a complex joint, but it doesn't do the, its limits, usually it's 90 degrees or on all the orientations, or maybe little more than 90 for contortionist people. So for animation, right, of course we want probably a little more. So I'd consider something like that, because there's the brick of the joint technique, and here maybe even more. But the bendy bone also gets mad, so we need to be a bit careful about those exaggerations anyways. Or it was the keyframe, so let's reset here. So what I'm going to do is to address the wave painting. Well, I don't know what is the wave painting for that. Maybe it's broken. Maybe I have to remake the wave painting. I have a better... There is the ogre technique from dual fan bone technique from CG Dive. I don't know where he got this idea, but I think that was very ingenious. Maybe he made it. The tutorial I've seen, he didn't explain it, but there's some double ogre. Yeah, I was checking this. I haven't watched, but I should be watching. So it's not how I do the fan bones, but the dual fan bone. Yeah, it's a joint here, so it's very, very curious. Maybe I should try here exactly in this case. So it's a sort of a decomposition thing, and it's very, very smart, because actually instead of having a single rotating derotator bone that will affect the whole joint, we will analyze it a bit different. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna get the yeah, I'm gonna save here and create a subdivision here of the of this. We're going to I don't need to delete, right, the wave paint. I can just have it back as a backup, right? Basically, okay, it's here. So I'm gonna destroy its name here. And I'm gonna also create duplicate, Control Alt F, actually invert. I'm gonna place it there. Actually, I need to align. Yeah, mistake here. Maybe align here and then rotate on normals. No, just want this. Alt F, no, Alt R, then, and we're gonna parent it to the control. Okay, let's try this. I'm not familiar yet, so let's just parent it to the same. So what that does is then when we bring the control, don't need the control hand actually, I just need the control wrist. I just need this again. Gonna go on pause mode here, so we got this thing working. Of course this rotation is incorrect, so I'm gonna just disable it for now. So it's not derotating. It's a deform bone, but they don't have any vertex groups. We're gonna double check this if that's the case. Yeah, so no wave paint for them. This has wave paint. So we're gonna just do the technique here, very crude thing. We're gonna get the wrist from the arm. So need the wrist. We need here, we need here, we need this, and we want also the deform wrist. No, we want the fan wrist. There we go. So select all that. We already got what we need. So right now the idea, this fan bone is already derotating on a certain amount. It's a lot actually. Okay, so can, yeah, let's leave it derotating by a lot, while the other will derotate the joint, but from the perspective of this wave paint. So this one, yes, I think I need this, deserves a short highlight, even if this will be a bit experimental. Alright folks, so here I'm gonna show you how we can rig a intermediate join with yeah, it's a combination of techniques, but here is the dual fan bone technique from that I've got. I haven't followed the tutorial entirely, but it is something that I've seen from CG Dider. He published some ogre character rigging, right, with Rigify, I think, and I saw this idea. Oh, I know fan bones. I never saw fan bones used that way, or maybe I saw and didn't realize how. So basically, the very ingenious idea of that I haven't never thought by myself, but that's like that. Some things we realize some by ourselves, some other not. And very interestingly, I didn't have this bone before, so I just had some automation of the bendy bone forearm, deform bendy bone, right? And here we don't see we just see the bone here, which is this fan wrist bone, which is a helper bone. So it's a deformed bone that it is Following, yeah, it is parented the control wrist, which is not this bone, this special rig, but it will be some bone like this is the mech. So it is parented to this bone, right? So we can offset here. This is the master A key. So this is not what matters. So this bone is parented to this control wrist, and it has a copy rotation bone constraint with these settings. So this is an intermediate joint, so the parenting is very important to get the target unknown or spaces to work for the derotation, because rotation in Blender is super complicated, right? So you have quaternions, you have, you name it, you have the Euler rotation mode, you have, or type, you have rotation modes, right? So, and then you have space, so it can be quite tricky, but here this setup worked for particularly this one with this parenting. But if we just change the parenting to something different, then it might work but be inconsistent. Even this might not be perfect, but the idea is the fan bone is basically that by the way, it's just realize that on the rest pose, actually the rest position, right? You see the deformed bone of the wrist is already tilted like that, so that's why the fan bone is on the same orientation, aligned, but not with the control wrist, which is aligned with world space, right? Just as the master. So just note that. So this is why it is tilted, so ignore that. This won't cause any problem, because as these rotate, the other things will rotate at the same amount. So you see, except the fan bone, because the fan bone will be a derotator helper bone, because it will help derotate the mesh on the joint region, which is the one that suffers from the artifacts. So this is what we're going to address here. And so I had some wave paint for this. It was working, but it was not totally satisfactory. So here we got the fan bone, which have nothing in terms of wave paint, but the wave paint was this one previously. So this one was the old fan bone wave paint, but this technique that I'm gonna use now, which is the dual fan bone for the joint, which is basically one thing that I've already realized with my small research on fan bones techniques, because it's very old. It goes back to at least 2024, where some professor, Australian professor, using Animation Master, which is a software for rigging and 3D animation, right? Sometimes I don't, maybe it still is used somewhere, but I don't know. Never heard about it, but it's old school stuff, right? So for rigging, and this professor had this concept of the fan bone from that time. It was even published in a review, 3D World, at that time, right? Anyways, so strangely enough, this technique wasn't, in my opinion, not very popularized. Anyways, it is very powerful in my opinion, because sorry, it's analyzed it really counteracts in nearly a mathematical way the artifacts. So it's supposed to be very, very precise. Just as you can use twist bones to detwist a mesh, so here is the same thing, the fan bone, but it will derotate on the X and Z axis, we say the plane, not the axis that, okay, where are my axes? Oh, you don't see on wave paint mode. Okay, so anyways, let's do here stuff. I need to readdress this wave paint. So what I'm going to do is a special way to achieve this. I need the fan, no, not the fan, sorry, I need there will be other ways to do this, but this is, I think this is a good way, a good technique. So I need the wrist, deform wrist, right? which is here. I'm gonna duplicate this one, duplicate the form wrist. I'll call it not mini-me, but the name of the fan bone, which was this one. I created this X just to right, so this copy will become, just to take it off from the bone itself, right? So now this will become, this duplicate will become the wave painting of the fan bone here. You see, so it has the same waves as the fan of the wrist bone. So the wrist had this, the fan wrist has this. By the way, don't forget to take off this, or you can think that you lose all your you wonder why these vertex groups will disappear forever, even this space bar. Oh, okay. So it needs highlighting. So basically, as the search system, right? So here we need, just as here, right? By the way, just as this, I mean. All right. So we need here to get into the reduction now of these waves, because it's the region here which matters. So I need to sort of reduce the waves. I just want to have to fix the mesh, which is suffering more from the artifacts. They are more like in the bendy bone than actually the joint, but we could say that some waves here, if I derotate, could be good. Maybe I made a mistake in the wave painting of the wrist, but this is not my concern here, because my concern here is really to take off the waves. So I don't know how exactly in Blender 4.3.0 we have some issues with the wave painting. The subtract add tool has been removed apparently. So what I'm going to do, I need a masking here, which will be a bit tricky. So I'm gonna do this, this, and this. I need to sort of remember from memory. So I think that this should be sufficient. Alright, and then we go back here and we click 1. So I think this could be a good mask if we invert, of course. Now I'm gonna really go harsh on these waves. I don't care too much. At least I won't have the black color, unfortunately, but we couldn't have with other waves. But I just gonna push this a lot towards the, so it's nearly as taking off the waves, right? So I really want to just so you see the waves are being maintained mostly the same as they were, but only for, yeah, I won't even touch this one, so it will be exactly the same. So it's very, very accurate, except here where I am just gonna focus on some blurring here, and as we reach for a threshold which is not totally clear, but as we reach for a certain threshold, let's say, then we can totally just leave it. Yeah, so maybe I can, a little derotation here to low influence shouldn't be critical. If it is, we'll realize something is weird, that the hand is not rotating in a strange way, the mesh, right? It's not following up the bone, so we can totally, this should be safe. I think here we can reduce these ones as well. it's still strong waves, right? So it still will affect. So you have this. So I'm making this threshold. So I think this should be good enough. So you have. Maybe I should push this a little more and re-blur here on a lower value. Alright, so this would be the wave painting for this. And as for the other, so I'll do exactly the same thing, but from the opposite condition. So I need the forearm, so that is, if you name properly, if we have named properly, it should be pretty simple. Forearm, deform forearm left, and so this is it. We're gonna select it and duplicate vertex group, and now I'm gonna remember which is, okay, it can be, well, no, forearm wrist. So we're gonna copy this here, and we're gonna go back to object mode and have this copy here, get this same, and here we're gonna delete this search. And yeah, I can sort by name if I want, but it's okay because you can just search here if I ever need this back again. But now I can address this by just having the bone selection, right, on wave paint mode. So right now, if I enter back, I don't want the mask tree, so I click here, you see, well, something went wrong. I think I made a mistake here. Okay, let's do it again then. So this duplicate, and gonna pick this, must be on pose mode, unfortunately for that, just for picking the copying the name like that with F2. So here, copy. So I'm gonna select it. No, I didn't. So gonna paste now, and now that should have worked. There we go. So no, okay, so this bone is crazy. What's the name of this? Okay, this wasn't changed, so let's delete this vertex group. Let's definitely, folks, I don't know what's going on here. Copy here. We got here, we got the fan wrist, it's not this one. We got the deform forearm, and you have the fan wrist left. No, it's this is an old one, and this is an old one. Okay, so let's go to copy. All right, this one becomes this, right? All right, finally. All right, so now I want a mask. This will be much simpler than the hand, right? So it's just for the joint, and let's just check here. And I had this created this animation. Okay, so there are some crazy things going on. I don't, of course, this is because of this is a deformed bone. Currently, it's derotating the whole forearm. So I just need to, in order to address to make the good checkings here, I need to turn off the deform property of the helper bone and just check where is the area that is still affected. So these vertices are still affected a lot, so not too much these in the beginning. So my threshold will be here. So I'm gonna select this. Currently it's not even a deformed bone, so I'm gonna what I can do here is getting a mask, so it's gonna be very precise. That's I'm gonna hide these vertices. Then since this I can save, I just want this Shift H, then we go back on object mode, then wave paint mode, then I get the fan bone for the forearm, and here we can start to I can even make a selection if I totally want to. No, we can just do this. I think this is safe. At least there's an advantage here that we maintain the threshold idea of how much it had wave. So there's still an interesting advantage to this. So here I'm deciding I'm gonna make some blurring in this area. So it will be an intermediate region already. Have some interpolation waves, and here we're gonna just reinforce this slightly. And I believe this will be enough for the rotations. Maybe this is still too much, but let's bring this bone back on pose mode too. Doesn't need to be pose mode. Just make sure I don't know which bone is select, so let's get here. I think it would appear here, right? So indeed it appears there. So now this bone, which is deformed bone, also will cause some problems, right? Of course, because it is not this is already derotating. No, it is not. Let's augment its influence. Okay, so this one is derotating with a certain setup. This one will require a different setup in order to produce some favorable derotation. So I've just copied the bone itself, so we see maybe I need to invert this, and let's first see what it is doing without any influence. All right, and if we have influence, you see that it needs a lot of derotation to start to create some effect. But I don't know if this has any value to the rig itself, but yeah, let's see, because it's doesn't seem to be doing nothing. So we're gonna address this. Oh yeah, this is actually, yeah, because what this bone is doing is indeed it is taking the okay, let's leave this like as it were. It is really derotating. It is taking off waves from the joint region. So it's sort of preventing the joint region to rotate in horrible ways. But even this rotation is not sufficient, and we cannot double it. And of course, if I invert, we get complete madness, I think. Yeah, then the bone is flipping crazily, right? So this is not the case of an inversion, right? Because it's opposites, right? So this is the setup that I found that can work. So what I want to do is get this at the maximum and then duplicate here and have this as a, so you're gonna add this. So it's just an adding factor to I think it doesn't need the add, right? But then yeah, okay, that might be, but you see it's affecting some strange things in the back, because there are too many waves there which are sort of derotating. So but regarding, yeah, this is still bad. Well, I could be doing this here, right? Oh yeah, so it's still far from, yeah, so this is probably the parenting, yeah, so maybe this requires a different setup here. So I'll turn this off first. Yeah, so I need to address this add before original, maybe replace, I don't know. Yeah, maybe replace could be safer, but no, that worked, so I'm gonna leave it like that. But this is a different case, so let's see. Local space with annotation, local with parent. As I rotate here, it follows the. We need to see. Yes, this is correct. So it is following, but it's not really the rotating, right? It's not doing anything actually. This local with parent, I think it's not, or it's yeah, so it's a combination of stuff. So all right, this is more likely. So you see that it's not rotating together, so it's delaying, right? Even though it's a bit harder to understand, but it is indeed not rotating. It is being delayed, so that is, it means that is good. It's doing its job. But of course, this job is terrible for the deforms because of the amount of waves I've put to it. So it needs maybe some inversion. Let's see. No, so apparently there are a lot of things that I'm not getting here correctly. Without the inversion, this just doesn't work. And yeah, so copy the information of the wrist. Yeah, so this the complication here, of course, derives from the fact that we have an inverted thing, right? So my highlight here is sort of insufficient. I'm gonna cancel it, right? I have this star error here, just for myself to remember that this is wrong. So I couldn't figure out, yeah, so I'm still struggling to, I'm probably just stuck with the fixed ideas of how this should work and not thinking good enough. So, hello, Mekazao, how you doing, bro? Hello there, good to see you, mate. Yeah, nice to see you again, so welcome. So here we are struggling with some very tricky, should be simpler, but rotations in Blender, right? So the effects though, let's turn off this. Okay, so it is having some impact, so this is important, need to be checking here. Ah, I see. So some rotations seem to be stacking. Yes. Maybe because of the parenting. Let's do something. What is this? Okay, maybe it needs a different parent there. Then why not simplify then? Let's get the parent, make it parent of the fan, why not? So I'm going to not copy rotation, but I'm just gonna see. Alright, and then it will just derotate from its own parent. Yeah, it is possible. So derotate local space, and here we got some problem. Something about the rotations being much stronger in some orientations than others, so I can't figure this out. Yet it seems to be moving much more than maybe it's the local with parent thing. Yeah, so target local with parent, let's try. Now it's like barely moving, so this is strange. But here, yeah, and now it moves a lot there. Alright, so I think I'll never figure this out. Or now it's sort of inverted the motion. Apparently this bone is taking inputs from different stuff, and that is why local with owner orientation. Let's see now. Okay, there's a lot of rotations, and this is also a lot of rotation. Okay, at least they seem to be matching now. Let's take this off. Ah, now this seems to be working. Okay. So we have, so if I don't have the bond constraints, it just follow. If I have just a, oh, I see, the parent, no, the tilting there is just because, yeah, don't be confused, it's just because it's aligned with the other bone, right? So it's normal. What is not normal is the rate of motion, right? The speed. So now the speeds are matching on whichever thing. So local space, so this is crazy, the local space with, if we don't have this, then, well, this also seems to be working. Alright, so maybe this is local space with parent is not required in the end. So just local space and owner orientation. Alright, so this means that now I can probably augment the influence, or let's see, no, we don't want to invert indeed, so I need to augment the influence. Yes, it seems to be doing some job, extra job in the back part there. So I think I need a little more, so I'm gonna duplicate that. but reduced to something like that. Interesting bendings. Yes, so yeah, no, there are some. When the bone goes diagonal, then it seems to start to go a bit crazy. Yeah, the bone constraints start to, I think this is because of the, maybe it's something about the quaternions. One of the fun bones go completely crazy, and I think it's the, oh, this one starts to go completely crazy. So no, local parent won't do anything. Okay, some deforms there is just a question of wave painting. So I cannot confuse between that. So I suspected that this was too strong anyways. So yeah, some object there was set as active camera rating. No, the active camera is this, so just some wrong. Okay. Then let's get here the wave painting. So struggling with the wave painting system in Blender 4.3.0. They removed the, I cannot find it. Add subtract tool. They need to recover it. Alright, so this is not good. Let's reduce these waves and re-blur. On a lower value. So okay, we've made a lot of changes here. Actually, let's use the, yeah, they also removed the mix, so this is very tragical. So the mix would be a lifesaver here. It would just have, so just add, okay, probably they'll fix this in a few more iterations. So it's still workable, better than what they did in Grease Pencil, wave painting of Grease Pencil. But I found out that in Grease Pencil we can totally use auto waves. It's good. It's much easier. Auto waves there is good, and bendy bones and auto key with bendy bones can also work together with connected chain of parented connected chain of bendy bones. That is apparently the way to go to make smooth, easy grease pencil strokes, moving, curving, and creating all sorts of shapes. Well, maybe not all sorts of shapes. That will depend on some how we address those bendy bones, right? Alright, so this didn't solve much, but you see, okay, I need to first realize if this is because of this derotator, or if it's because of, probably it's because of it. No, it's not because of it. Maybe it's because of this. Oh, this is affecting. Oh, yes. Okay, so the. Alright, so let's make some thing here. I see. So that indeed was one of the mistakes. So I need to readdress the wave painting for this region. So I'm gonna pick the mesh here directly, right? The bones, I don't care. So directly the mesh, I don't need to be looking the bone. Shift Control X, let's go for the wrist. This is probably an old setup, right? This is incorrect. It might be good, it was maybe good for something I was doing before, and now it's just bad. So maybe I need to take off, I don't need this extension. So wave painting for bendy bones, crossing regular deformed bones can be quite tricky sometimes. There are many cases it's very, very complicated because you're dealing with different skinning methods. Spline skinning the bendy bones and usually linear blend skinning for regular bones. So here, and there's something else I didn't have time to try, but we're gonna address that. I'm going to, yeah, so let's simplify this. I'm just gonna pick this face loop. Gonna go for both the actually, yeah, gonna go for both the deform wrist, Control X, take off this, and for the wrist itself, so it will be Control X, wrist, Control X. And now, yeah, there's some more adjustments I want to do. This will be a bit dirty. Oh, I can make it good. Yeah, no need to be dirty, folks. So what we can do is we can make a face loop selection here, or actually maybe I need first to assess what's going on. Okay, I see. So maybe I want to get just this edge ring here. Edge loop, yeah. Now, yeah, an edge ring. Go here, then that will be my mask for the 2. Currently, it is using these waves, but we want something lesser, so maybe we get this. Control X, gonna do a smoother for the other. So this is the fan, and I want the wrist. Control X. Right? Control X, Control Shift X, Shift X. Yeah, this is the same value. Okay, this is fine. But this is not over. I want also this one now. I'm gonna sort of reduce these waves here. I'm gonna go for, let's make a highlight here. This is a good tip. Folks, here a quick tip on wave painting. So basically there is some annoying things that I need to do very precisely for different bones. One helper bone and one deformed bone for the wrist region, right? So I'm gonna, basically I have this, I'm trying to make some adjustments for the joint, and I have the wrist bone which you do not see here, but it is somewhere, right? Sort of aligned with this one. But this is a fun bone, it's the helper bone, it derotates, it doesn't matter now. So what happens is that they have similar waves, especially on the joints. So I need to take off the waves. I thought that the joint was extending, the waves of the joint was extending too much in the forearm. That was causing some issues. Sometimes it is good, sometimes it is not. And in this case, not so good. So what I'm gonna do is they need a mask. I was already fixing, right? So I have this loop there, which I had a value of Shift X, this value here with wave, right? Right mouse button, click on wave paint mode, you get this panel, this pop-over menu. So here, basically, I leave like that, but then the other edge ring, the next edge ring towards the hand, which is here, has too much waves for both bones, and I want the bones to match exactly only for that edge ring. So it's very simple here, but to match exactly. So what I'm gonna do is that I go on wave paint mode. I have already made my selection, right? So it's 2 for the vertex, right? For the vertex selection option on wave paint mode. That you see, this is a subdivision surface modifier, so this is confusing, but we can turn it, well, no, this is okay, but these are the real vertices. It's just a single edge ring. So with this two, right, the mask on, then I will go for the, yeah, I have my deform fan wrist bone for the left hand selected. So I'm gonna just, you see the waves are, don't get mixed up, it's the middle here. So it's, these waves are Shift X, they are 1, right? So what we want to do is maybe return to the previous one, which was that value. So just gonna augment this to maybe something like that. Then Control X, which is set waves, and that should be, well, maybe a little more, but okay, this. And so I will retain this value here. Because I don't have the bone visible, what I'm gonna do in this case is not too complicated. Shift Control X in the mesh, in the region where I believe there should be the other, so def wrist, there we go. And this, apparently, you see, it's confusing, but it's still the same bone that is selected, but this is another wave paint vertex group. So I just do again Control X, set wave. Well, maybe it didn't work, so let's try again. So Shift Control X, Shift Control. All right, so something is happening here. Maybe I cannot be on this thing here. So Shift Control X, wrist, deform wrist. Let's see if they match. And fan wrist. Oh, the fan wrist was like that. Okay, so I picked this. I was doing incorrectly. Doing the inverse, folks. So this is actually what I needed to select from here. There's the fan wrist, right? So here, now I go back to the mask thing too, and then okay, this will be less waves on here, but that's fine. I want to match. Control X, which is set waves, and there we go. So you see, I don't need to have the bone selected, even though it says that, yeah, the selection is there. We can do just like that. And if I suspect that maybe I didn't conclude the work there, Shift X on previous vertex. That seems to be matching, right? Actually, this doesn't seem to be the wave that I wanted originally, so maybe I've made a mistake here. So let's go back to the Shift Control X to the wrist. This value, okay, so let's change here again. Yeah, so apparently there are some mistakes that I've made, but you got the idea, right? The idea is that we got now this reduced influence on on the joint from there, but we see here we still won't have great results because I'm still working on some of this setup. Yeah, there's this helper bone is still suffering a lot from yeah, so I think I'm not gonna record this, that's too confusing. Not gonna keep it, so just gonna cancel. Sorry folks, sometimes shit happens. So yeah, I need to just before, yeah, because I've been doing this already for too long today, I need to realize why this goes crazy like that. So this looks like local with parenting. No, no, actually let's just delete this. Let's just work with one. Yeah, it shouldn't be rotating in this way, so and this has some crazy interactions, right? So I have another plan for that might be able to work, which is the custom space. Maybe that will be the only way here for the setup that I've made. And I want really to use this as the sort of doesn't seem to make too much sense to me. It would be like a pivoter. All right, so maybe I think I understand what's going on. Basically, actually, from the perspective of this bone, it doesn't need to follow this kind of rotation, right? So instead, let's try something a bit crazy here. I'm gonna change here. Okay, nothing is happening. Yeah, nothing is happening, so yeah, so not good. I still can't figure out what is needed here. Should it just work? Should it stay in place? No, if it stayed in place, it makes no sense. So this mesh needs to be derotating. Let's turn off these. So it needs to derotate according to the angle that is formed. So what does that mean? that it needs to match the orientation. Yeah, it could match here. So let's say, for instance, let's realign and flip and position it back. And parent to the same, yeah, let's go back to this same parenting thing. And we go back here. Alright, so pure parenting. The wrist is derotating. What should that thing do? It should if this goes up, then this derotates the same amount in this opposite direction. I see. Derotation. Okay, so it needs to derotate just as this is derotated, but in the other direction. So essentially, that's why this is so difficult to do. It's just because you see a bone from the invert side, right? So it's so now I need to sort of mimic custom space of its parent, and invert on a maybe the same value here. No, this is not the correct approach. It is doing nothing anyway, so okay, now this is not working. So no, not this. Well, it's already parent to it, so it doesn't need this. Okay. This used the deform wrist. Okay, makes sense. So maybe we need to target the deform wrist. Target deform. Oh, this was wrong all time, maybe. Okay, so here we can invert, maybe. Yes, maybe that's it. And this probably is not required here. We can just use local space. No. Yeah, it is there. So this can apparently still work, right? So we want this to be doing this. So okay, let's try local with parent. No, local with parent. Okay, that also works. Then we need to improve here. And then there is volume loss, which is another issue. So that yeah, like there is It's not just the volume loss. Volume loss is one of the artifacts. There's rotational artifacts that is horrible then, but this seems to have mostly worked for, yeah, this is terrible. Maybe there's still some rotational madness that is not helping, but for the straight ones, this is already quite impressive. I think I can solve this. So here let's address the, so at least this seems to be doing this derotation thing. Wait, it's not reacting. Yeah, it's very incorrect actually. So and looks like they never be able to fix this. So this is not doing the accurate derotation, and this also doesn't work. So let's go back here and get local with parent, local space. This seems to be the correct behavior, but not these ones. So again, the same. If I had a simpler rig, that would be much simpler to realize what's going on. So this is very unfortunate. Yeah, some motion will just too complicated here with the thing that I'm trying to do. So in principle, everything should be local space. That should be the simpler way, but it just won't respond to certain things, right? So it's just, for example, this one don't seem to do nothing, right? So deform wrist, maybe, oh yeah, maybe because I'm doing everything wrong, right? So let's use the control wrist. Local with parent, maybe. Okay, cross target parent. That was the culprit apparently of some of the mad stuff. So maybe now this seems to be mostly accurate. This thing also has problems, cross parenting, right? So just do this. So this, let's augment this derotation factor. Yeah, here we got some issue, but nothing to do here. Maybe this one, more of this one. Yeah, and then the volume loss artifact. So okay, so this, I think it's we were able to improve this by a lot, right? Oh, there's some strange thing here happening, so shouldn't be occurring. Yeah, so some rotations, they got a bit crazy. So let's go. I don't know how to solve this now, but it should be investigated later. So I'm gonna smooth these faces, maybe even smooth these too. This is very, seems to be very crude here, the shapes. I'm going to make a crazy thing here that already worked in the on the face surprisingly. So I'm gonna make the joint super joint thing. So it will be a harsh threshold where we just need the volume loss affected region. I suspect it would be this one, so bring this here, and yeah, let's add this and just maybe this one and this, yeah, or maybe not even this one, yeah, maybe with not these ones too, yeah, start to complicate too much, so instead just there. We're gonna call these ones the vertex group for we're gonna call it mod armature preserve wrist. Assign at 100 exactly, then we're gonna bring this will have immediate effect. So for instance, if we have, let's see, where is the, okay, this seems to have a lot of volume loss, right? Which is normal in this Stone Age technologies of rigging. So here we got to go to the armature, gonna duplicate this, Shift D, not working. Okay, so anyways, duplicate armature wrist. We're gonna just change here. We use here I have a problem. I have to take off yeah, we need to make a special vertex group, so oh, I know how to do that. Okay, we do an inversion then. No, it wouldn't be sufficient. I need to negate. Okay, so this one, the wrist width here, and okay, it's taking double deforms because we need to, yeah, so what I'm going to do is that I'm gonna go back here, gonna get this one, and I'm gonna add this one, and I'm gonna add mod armature LBS, whatever, assign. So this one will be the inversion of the LBS. Well, see that this didn't really provide too much results, but wrist preserve volume. Yeah, so this is what it is doing. So it does preserve a lot of volume, and it doesn't seem to be creating too much problems besides it, but we see there's an extension of the mesh, so maybe not exactly what I expected, but a little better results, right? So maybe we'll see better on some other poses. Of course, we can't really compare entirely because, but we can have an idea. I think it was much worse. Yeah, it was kind of worse than that. So I believe this is doing some job, but then I still have problems with the bendy bone and the fan bones and something about the mesh that is just not. I think there should be more waves. Yeah, I took waves which are very important from the wrist, so this was a mistake. So I'll have to go back there later. All right, folks. So today we didn't get a lot of progress, but that might at least have been interesting to check some more stuff. And so tomorrow I'll intend to go back and yeah. So yeah, we made some improvements the geometry of the arms indeed. So we did some progress, but hands we should be facing that on the wrists, hands. Face we sort of we have already addressed. So helper bones idea for all fingers. This I'm not sure. Maybe it's not necessary. I think it's not necessary. So maybe we dump that and just retake a little this other the larger knuckles. Then we have armpit. We need to verify if it's working well. Shoulders rig. Actually, the shoulder rig is not ready. Yeah, shoulders rig. We need to see if it's if what we have here is sufficient. And which relates to the armpit and scapula, right? But it's a bigger problem than these ones. Then helper bone spray, hips type. Okay, so we're very close to getting this, but I'll have to address this. Find ideal solution for, find good, adequate solution for wrist intermediate. Yeah, for wrist intermediate joint. So this is something I've been tackling for a while, and it's very difficult with the bendy bone. Also, sometimes it helps, but sometimes it can also create problems. So two things, yeah, many things here to take into account. Just to remember, so the dual fan bone technique. So should we improve that? Then the more wave to the wrist base. Yes, so I think this is we'll do in the other address. But just to remember, then there is also strange local so strange bone constraint behavior on certain diagonal rotations of fan bones of the wrist, local with parent only. So I need to address this. Maybe it's a bendy bone thing, I don't know. And there will be also any improvements with the B-bone spline. Yeah, but it's not really, it's really a corrective now that needs to be done from these, I guess. I've even changed the handle for it, so yeah. So this wristtle thing, it's not a, some could consider it a complex joint, but I don't think it's as hard as the others, but it can be complicated, as you can see. To make it worse, it is in the intersection of the hand, which has a lot of other bones, usually for inverse kinematics. So that's it, folks. So unfortunately we didn't go so far today, but we're continuing presenting some interesting stuff going on here for body rig, at least this time. And see you tomorrow or any other weekday. Maybe because I'm trying to finish this project, I try to bring it on the weekends as well for until I complete. Yeah, so that's it, folks. Thanks for watching. Take care and happy blending. See you soon.